Earlier, we saw about how a CSV flat file can be directly loaded into the tables through the SQL web in the Oracle Cloud instance. So that's of course a new feature with the Oracle Cloud. You can directly, Oracle Cloud Autonomous Database, through which a flat file, or it's called as flat file. Generally, the CSV files are called as a flat file. So if you have a data in a flat file, if the table structures are defined and if that matches with the flat file, the data can be directly loaded into the tables. So that's a manual process. But it is highly unlikely that you'll be able to do a manual upload. So when you want to do a manual upload, some person needs to upload the data, which is highly unlikely. You might get files from a different business systems. Maybe you might have a web-based system for data capture, and you'll be using maybe an ERP system, a custom web-based application for order entries or capturing the order that needs to be transferred into an ERP system. So in that case, yes, from the web-based application which will have an independent database, that will generate a flat file, and that flat file need to be uploaded into an ERP system. That is where the SQL loaders would be used. So when two different database application wants to communicate in an automated way at a certain point of time, say 2 hours interval, the data needs to be synced up, then SQL loader needs to be used. So this could be internal. So in case of transaction, data warehouse, business intelligence application, within different internal application, as I said, maybe from a web application to an ERP application in an automated way, then yes, in an ERP application, you'll be using the SQL loader. When you have two different systems, you have a business A, business entity A, business entity B, and that is where the concept of electronic data interchange is used, the EDI concept. I do have a course on EDI as well, so if you're interested in that, you can go through that course. So a purchase order from a business A is sent as a, if business A wants to purchase, say for example, it wants to purchase a retail business of 10 hard disks. It might be happening, a retail industry or a retail outlet might procure on a day-to-day basis 10 hard disks in a computer, and that purchase order will be sent across to the parent company. Maybe for example IBM, it is the retail outlet, or Dell outlet procures 10 hard disks per day. So instead of manually communicating, they'll be using EDI to transfer or request, send out a purchase order which is called as 850, and then the data will be used to upload into the purchase order. Data will be used to upload into their respective system as the sales order. In the Dell system, it is going to get converted into a sales order. So all this could be automated, and SQL loader will be part of it to load that data from the retail outlet into the Dell system. So you need to, the sales order table needs to be populated, and there you'd be using the SQL loader as well. So it's an automated way. So manual intervention is not required. So maybe you might just want, I'm talking about just one retail outlet. So if there are going to be many retail outlets, maybe across the country, across the globe, all this, you might receive maybe hundreds of flat files in a specific data format which is agreed upon, and that data needs to be uploaded into the Dell system, and that is where they use SQL loader. Maybe one hour interval or 2 hours interval, maybe during the specific night time they might not have it. So all this could be scheduled. So it's a kind of an automated way of loading the data into the SQL loader. So that is where the SQL loaders are used, and this is a typical example. As I said, source system, it could be an internal system, or it could be trading partners, but that is between intra-company, between two companies. The data gets extracted and it is provided in form of a flat file or a EDI file, and the SQL loader will act upon it, and then it gets loaded into the staging table, pre-interface table, and then the necessary validation might be performed by maybe a PL SQL program, and then it has to upload into the interface table. This is again an example I'm taking from the Oracle ERP system. So Oracle EBIS, and then the import program will work on it, and then finally it gets loaded into the base apps table. So in our part, we'll be looking at this side, I mean SQL loader, how SQL loader works, and you got to load into a table, the database table. So this part is what we are going to focus. So this is again a typical example of how the SQL loader works. So SQL loader, if you look at it, the SQL loader tool, this it has the control file. It has a control file, and which defines how it is going to look like, and then the input file is what you are going to get. That's basically the data file or the input file. The control file is what is how we'll see. If you look at it, the control file is a text file written in a language that SQL loader understands. The control file tells the SQL loader where to find the data, how to pass, interpret the data, where to insert the data, which table to insert, and all the control file specifies. So has global options such as bind, rows, whether records to skip. So if you recollect correctly, maybe we would have said in the SQL web developer, we said whether the records to skip or not. The in file specifies whether the control file itself has the data, or you want to pass through the separate file. So in file specifies that, and then the data to be loaded. So control file is one of them, and the data file is what you have the data in them. SQL loader reads the data, one or more files, and specified in the control file. So you might have multiple files, or you might use one file. So you have a data file, one. The control file provides with the specific instructions as what to be done, which table to be loaded, where to look out for the data file. All these are provided in the control file. And you also have something called as bad file. Suppose, for example, it's quite common when the extracted data comes from a system, maybe due to some reason, the source system, maybe the web application, they have changed something, and instead of you would have defined maybe a vendor record, vendor name as something like 20 is the size. For some reason, if the size of the vendor name is going to be 40, then that data needs to be rejected because it cannot be processed, because that is the length is being 40, so it will reject. So all this will be in the bad file. It'll be, I mean, whatever the rejected data which is cannot be inserted, so that will be in the bad file. So this is a sample, as I said, the SQL loader, simple one. Again, this is just for understanding purpose. It is being provided, but you can have complex program. So load data, we are providing the load file. This is the name of the file which is provided, and insert into, it needs to have a student table. It is going to insert into the student table fields terminated by. So that is where comma separated format, a spreadsheet which is called as CSV file, comma separated format, and optionally enclosed by the appropriate format. And these are the fields, roll number, name are the fields. So basically it will read the data. So basically two data will be there. One is the roll number, the other one is name. So from the load file, it's going to read the data, roll number, name, and it is going to insert into a table called student, which needs to be already defined in the database, and it has the roll number column and it has the name column. So whatever the data is there in the CSV file, it will insert into the table. And for this to happen, you need to have the SQL connection up and running, and we have already set that up, the SQL connection, because without the SQL connection in the place, you cannot run it, because then it will throw an error saying that the database connection is not available. That is number one. The second part is of course the second part is of course the SQL loader command itself. That needs to be identified and accepted by the system, and you need to have the SQL loader installed, which we have already done as well. So in the next case, we'll see an example. We'll create the file, and then we will transfer into the appropriate Linux folder and run the program. So stay tuned. We will see a hands-on example in the next presentation. Thank you. Welcome back. Let's now get into some hands-on with the SQL loader. So what we will do is we already have our Oracle folder. We will additionally create something called SQL loader, and that is where we are going to move the CTL file, that is the control file, and as well as the data file. So two files, we will move it over here. So now change directory SQL loader. Okay, I missed one. SQL loader. Okay, pwd. So we are in that directory. So what we need to do is we'll move the, if you look at listing of that, nothing is that in that folder. So we'll move the CTL file and a CSV file. So either probably you can create that in the directly in the using any editor like Nano Editor or VA Editor in the Linux box itself, or you could do it in a Windows based environment and then use the FTP WinSCP to transfer the file. So basically the control file and the CSV file. So we will move both over here. So drag and drop over here. So that should copy the files. So we have copied the files. So now let's do an ls -l. These two files are here. So change mode as usual. Give the execution privilege. So if you do a cat of the control file, so basically whatever we discussed, load data in file into the student table. So you need to create the student table basically with the roll number and the name. So I have this is there in the file as well. So we need to create that table. It is not present, roll number and name. The other one is a simple flat file, that is the load file, load file.csv, which needs to be comma separated. That is the roll number with the name. So load file is there, control file is there. Now we additionally need to create, we need to go into the SQL plus admin. Again, just keep in mind, you need to use your whatever password you set and whatever the connect string which is there in the tns names.ora. Same thing you need to use, not this one. So SQL plus admin workshop, and this is connected. So now let's create a table over here. So let's create this table. I think I had already created. So what we'll do is drop students. We can recreate that. Valid drop option. I think drop table should be there. Yeah, it needs to be drop table students. So just drop the table. Let's now recreate it. So the table is now created. Describe students. So it's basically a simple table. Now you could quit, come out of it. So if you do a select star from students, you wouldn't get any records over there. Yeah, spelling mistake is there. Select star from students. No, selected. So come out of it, and we are still in the SQL loader. So all set. So what we'll do is in the next presentation we'll see how to run the script and then check whether that data, which is this data, basically this data, whether that this is getting loaded into the table. We'll see that in the next presentation. Thank you. Stay tuned. So now we are all set. We have the control file, we have the load file, we have the table in place in the database. Now let's run the SQL loader. So the command to invoke the SQL loader is SQL LDR username password at the then the connect string. What is the control file? It's a control file. And what is the log? The track log will give you the details while it is running, how many records are loaded, how many are discarded. Those information is going to be created on the log file. So let's run this now in the Unix box. So Unix box will then connect to the Autonoumous database and load this data into the table, students table. That is our expectation. So let's see what happens. So fingers crossed. It's so fast. So it gives you 3 rows successfully loaded. So now we will see probably the log file and see what is there. I think I lost the connection. ls minus l. Okay, ls minus l. Okay, here is the log file is created. Track log. If you look at the track log, you'll see 3 rows. Gives the column name and gives 3 rows successfully loaded, 0 rows not loaded due to data error. If there is a data error, maybe we had defined the name somewhere something like varchar of 20. Suppose the incoming data is something like 40. Naturally, it will not be able to load that data. So naturally, it will give one error. So is that in that case, yeah, it will count. There will be a count which said rejected or discarded. That count will go up. Now let's get into the SQL, that is into the Autonoumous database, and see whether the data is loaded as well. So SQL plus select star from student. Yeah, data is there. Roll number, name, Krishna. So this is a simple exercise wherein we had used the data file to load data into the table. One more thing is, suppose if the data is already there, there are so many other things as well. So this is just to understand how the SQL loader will work. But if you want to have the existing, with the existing data, you want to add something, then instead of the command like insert, you need to have it as in file. Instead of that, you have it as append. And if you, in some cases, you can have the data in the CTL file itself. Yeah, instead of specifying the in file, you make it asterisk and give the data as well. There are, but generally people don't use to provide the data in the control file itself. It is highly unlikely. They don't provide it in the CTL file, but they will be providing the data in the separate flat file. And in our case, we had the flat file or the data file inside in the same folder. So you're not specifying the path. If there is a different path, you need to specify the full path as well. So those are the things you need to take care. And yeah, you can go to the Oracle documentation itself to find out the other details, because once you have an understanding of the SQL loader, how it works, then depending on each and every project, there are going to be variations. So as a developer, as a consultant, yes, you need to tweak the code, you need to make an understanding how it works. And again, in this case, we manually did the SQL loader command run on the command line. But then if you want to automate it, maybe say every hour it needs to be run. The solution is you need to have a cron job, cron tab, so that you need to have so define the, I'm not going into the details, but you need to have it as a cron job, you need to define the cron tab and give all the details. So in that case, once you schedule the job at a specified time, then it will get executed. Yeah, it needs to be man cron tab, so it will give the details. Maintain individual user. Cron tab is installed, removes existing table serves. So this is for the scheduling. Scheduling the sense at a certain point of time, you want that specific shell scripts to be run. So in that case, you will use the cron tab, cron command, so that it automatically picks up the control file and loads the data. So that's about the SQL loader, how to load it. So if at all, as I said, in the projects there might be variations. So in that case, you can refer to the documentation of Oracle and then work on it. And this is just for information. So I just pulled out the document of the SQL loader. You can go through the, so there are, as I said, in the projects there are going to be variations. So but once you have the fundamental understanding correct, then you can work through, you can tweak the code, based on the requirements. You can tweak the code and then have the data uploaded into the tables. So thank you.